this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
It's an Olympics you'll never forget. Prime time in Milan. The moments.
Chloe Kim with the gold medal flex.
The stars.
Ilya Malinin.
Out of this world.
The spectacle from beautiful northern Italy with very special guests every night of the Olympics. Experience the world's biggest show. Prime time in Milan. Tonight, 8/7 Central on NBC and Peacock.
Why have we asked our contractor we found on Angie.com to be our kids' legal guardian? Because he took such good care when redoing our basement that we knew we could trust him to care for our kids, all 8 of them, should something happen to us.
Are you my dad now?
No, sorry, I do basements. Connecting homeowners with skilled pros for over 30 years. Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find pros for all your home projects at Angie.com.
The big game commercials are basically must-see TV. This year, Elf Cosmetics went all out with an absurdly funny telenovela called Melissa. It stars Melissa McCarthy, Nicholas Gonzalez, Itati Cantoral, and Elf Glow Reviver Lip Oil. The Elf Glow Reviver Lip Oil is an ultra-glossy tinted lip oil that nourishes, hydrates, and enhances your lips' natural color.
Watch the full episode of their new Elf novela on soyunbaño.com.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time, 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
How do you make chicken nuggets like 7,000% better? Short answer, you let Taco Bell make them. Long answer, start with all white meat chicken nuggets, bread them in crunchy tortilla chips, and serve them with Hidden Valley Diablo Ranch. Yep, that's Hidden Valley Ranch mixed with Taco Bell Diablo sauce. It's exactly what it sounds like, and somehow even better. Simple math, spicy results. Crispy chicken nuggets from Taco Bell. A brand new classic. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time only, while supplies last.
Support for The Middle comes from the stations that air the show and from you. Thanks for making a donation at listentothemiddle.com.
Welcome to The Middle. I'm Jeremy Hobson, along with our house DJ, Tolliver. And Tolliver, we're going to be talking about the economy this hour. And it's kind of perfect timing because we have just had Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and Giving Tuesday, 3 days where people spend a lot of money.
I got to tell you, man, I just want to walk outside my house and have a car with a big red ribbon on it. Is that too much to ask? I can't even drive, but I like it, you know?
I have good news. I have good news for you, Tolliver, because if you look under your seat right now, you get a car. No, you don't.
Oh,
we can't afford
Jeremy
that.
Winfrey?
It turns out, though, yes, that spending over Black Friday and Cyber Monday was up from last year, but that could be because shoppers were hungry for deals. It could also be because people bought things using these buy now, pay later programs like Klarna and Affirm that did very well over those days. Deloitte says overall consumers plan to spend about 10% less this holiday season than they did last year. And if you look at the big picture, you also kind of see a split screen right now. The stock market is near record highs. Gas prices are around $3 a gallon on average nationally. But on the other hand, mortgage rates are stubbornly high. The tariffs are still boosting the cost of a lot of consumer goods. And healthcare costs may be about to skyrocket for many people. So it's no surprise that according to recent data from Pew, 74% of Americans say the economy is only in fair or poor condition, even if President Trump says affordability is a hoax.
You know, there's this fake narrative that the Democrats talk about, affordability. They just say the word. It doesn't mean anything to anybody. They just say it. Affordability. The word affordability is a con job by the Democrats.
All right now.
Okay, that's what he says. This hour, we want to hear from you. What is the state of your economy? Tolliver, how can people reach us?
Yeah, you can call us at 8444-MIDDLE. That's 844-464-3353. Or you can write to us at listentothemiddle.com or comment on our live stream on YouTube.
And we want to hear from you if the state of your economy is good, if it's bad, if it's just okay. Let us know. Joining us this hour, Kansas City-based columnist Mary Sanchez, who writes for the Tribune Content Agency. Mary, welcome back.
Thank you.
And also joining us, Justin Wolfers, professor of economics at the Gerald R. Ford School of Public Policy at the University of Michigan. Justin, it's great to have you on The Middle.
Mate, good to see you or hear you.
Well, and when you think about, Justin, the stresses on the economy right now, from the tariffs to job market uncertainty, and AI to the immigration crackdown, what do you make of the fact that the retailers are seeing strong holiday sales and the stock market is near record highs?
Let me take those two separately, and I think they need to be thought of separately. So, first of all, the jury is still out on Black Friday and Cyber Monday, Giving Tuesday, Wacky Wednesday, and on and on. I couldn't think of anything to begin with.
Thirsty Thursday.
Thirsty Thursday. Thank you, Tolliver. You're so good at this. You've got to give me a Friday now, Tolliver. Come on.
Frugal Friday at this point.
Obvious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So to the extent that we know anything about Freaky Friday, it's total revenues, total spending. Now, the thing is, the total amount that people spend at the store could be driven by buying more stuff, or it could be driven by buying the same amount of stuff but paying more, or it could be driven by buying less stuff and paying a lot more. Given that there's a lot of tariffs running around and a lot of reasons to worry that prices are going up, and a bit of anecdotal evidence that Black Friday was not the great deal that it was, I'm not convinced by anything so far. And then I want to step back one step further, which is, even if you told me we bought more on Black Friday, I'm not yet willing to call that evidence of a strong economy, because in a weak economy, shopping for bargains is even more important. And so it could be that what consumers do is they move from Christmas Eve shopping when it's expensive to getting the best bargains they can on Black Friday. So I think we're going to have to wait till the entire holiday season's behind us to figure out where things are at.
Well, I have to say, I put something in my cart the other day online, and I have never gotten more messages from a retailer than them. They said, you've got to buy this, you've got to buy this. I'm like, you relax. I will buy it when I want to. Mary Sanchez, how do things look from where you are there in Kansas City?
I think very much a little bit the same. I mean, it depends on who you speak with. You know, the economy is just it's so personal. And when, I'll be really interested to hear what the callers have to say about, how they feel about their own personal finances. We're an area that has, no one main driver of our economy. We're a bi-state, Kansas and Missouri. We're huge. We're about, I think, number 8 in terms of being a federal employer. So some of the DOGE layoffs and all the uncertainty there has got a lot of people kind of up in arms, and there's a lot of trickle-down effect of that. We've had, there's a new Panasonic battery giant facility on the Kansas side, and they had a bit of a rollback in how full-on that they will be as a factory because there were some of the downturns in buying of EV cars. So it's just uncertainty. I think even if you are someone who perhaps is a little bit more secure financially, there's just kind of that pall over things, which I would think will impact everything, giving, how much you buy, what you buy, all of that.
Well, and Justin, would you say right now that the tariffs are the number one sort of impact point on the economy, and how much are they affecting the state of things?
I think it's actually very hard to tell. So some amount of what's going on with the tariffs is they were so uncertain for so long. It literally took the administration until a couple of months ago to finally actually settle on what it was they were going to do. Of course, they changed them again the next weekend, but they're sort of as settled as they're going to be, which is to say they're going to change all the time. So they haven't been with us that long. A lot of businesses didn't immediately pass them on as higher costs, and so we're in the midst of a transition. A simple rule of thumb is if something's not expected to affect your costs for long, then you don't change your retail prices. But if you expect them to hang around, then you do. And tariffs only recently moved from temporary to feeling kind of permanent. So we're not all the way there yet. There's a second thing going on that I think is the second and a third. The second thing is uncertainty. and uncertainty, I think, gets at the heart of some of what Mary was reflecting, that people individually feel somewhat ill at ease. And so when you look at consumer confidence and surveys of how people feel, they feel wildly queasy right now. And the third thing that I don't think we've spent enough time talking about is something that we don't normally talk about as economists, which is, we talk about monetary shocks and fiscal shocks. I've got a whole new one for you, a competence shock. That there is either a profound problem of competence at the head of the administration, or alternatively, a crisis of confidence in the competence of the administration. This is an administration that took 10 months to discover that the US doesn't grow bananas, and that if we tariff bananas, that we won't onshore banana factories.
Because Trump just to explain to our audience, Trump just reversed the tariffs on bananas and coffee and beef to kind of try to bring those prices down.
Yes, thank you for that, Jeremy. And the thing is, my 13-year-old son, who hasn't yet studied economics, already understood the folly of a banana tariff. And it's not just bananas, by the way. It's that things of bananas might be something of a metaphor, but things like a tax on the Federal Reserve, or firing the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics for reporting the truth, which happened to be an unpleasant truth, or the CEO of Intel walking into the White House and walking out without having left 10% of his company behind accidentally, or the approach that you now need to bring a gift whenever you want to see a president. These are all things that are just very, very unusual, and I think really are giving people across the country pause.
Mary, the other thing that's going on that, if it weren't for all of these other things, would probably be the thing we were talking about and its impact on the economy, is the immigration crackdown, which has had an effect across the country on so many industries. How is that having an effect on our economy, do you think, Mary Sanchez?
The first thing that you'd probably look at would be the farmers, that they can't get enough of their laborers. We've had several migrant streams come through, and a lot of trepidation with the people of just even trying to fulfill those roles of working in fields. They're threatened. You're literally out in the open. You're going to start seeing it in all sorts of manufacturing. It's just that the fear. So many families are mixed status, where you'll have someone who is documented and someone who isn't. Well, if one of your wage earners is undocumented, if they are taken out of the labor force, the impact on that family is huge. And it's just, again, it's with everything like economics, it's a ripple effect. You start seeing that in schools. In communities where there's a lot of fear, some of the students have wanted to go on what we're doing right now. Can I just learn by Zoom? That they're either fearful to leave a parent at home who might be undocumented, or they're fearful themselves. So it's just, you're going to see it at a lot of different levels. You may not, it kind of depends, because immigrants are highly concentrated in some areas at more of a, what they would call a lower manual labor. But then you've also got now the hits on the H-1Bs, which is a college-educated person. And that's going to hit in a lot of other different sectors as some of those changes are going to roll out, where they're making it harder and harder for people to come, for people to... It already was a problem. I mean, you always hear about all the problems with backlogs, but...
Well, I want to remind our listeners you can reach us at 844-4MIDDLE. That's 844-464-3353. Tolliver, we mentioned the tariffs as one of the main economic headwinds right now.
Yeah, remember when Trump put them into effect back in April? He called it Liberation Day, and the White House press secretary Carolyn Leavitt told News Nation that the tariffs would not be painful for Americans.
As for prices and what the American public can expect, they can expect price stability. They can expect to buy American. It's a patriotic thing to do. And most importantly, they can expect their wages to go up.
This won't be painful at all for American people and consumers, Caroline?
It's going to be, there's not going to be any pain for American-owned companies and American workers, because their jobs are going to come back home.
And by the way, Tolliver, we have not seen manufacturing jobs come back. In fact, the latest jobs report showed another drop in manufacturing
Color me
jobs
surprised.
In this country. Right back with your calls coming up on The Middle.
It's an Olympics you'll never forget. Prime time in Milan. The moments.
Chloe Kim with the gold medal flex.
The stars.
Ilya Malinin.
Out of this world.
The spectacle from beautiful northern Italy with very special guests every night of the Olympics. Experience the world's biggest show. Prime time in Milan. Tonight, 8/7 Central on NBC and Peacock.
Why have we asked our contractor we found on Angie.com to be our kids' legal guardian? Because he took such good care when redoing our basement that we knew we could trust him to care for our kids, all 8 of them, should something happen to us.
Are you my dad now?
No, sorry, I do basements. Connecting homeowners with skilled pros for over 30 years. Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find pros for all your home projects at Angie.com.
Ever wonder why so many people regain weight after stopping a GLP-1? Up to 40% of the weight lost can come from lean muscle. This weakens the body, slows metabolism, and makes it easier to put the pounds back on, creating a cycle of dependency. Prolon's 5-day fasting-mimicking diet offers a drug-free way to maintain results and support long-term metabolic health. In just 5 days, it activates fasting pathways to burn fat, protect muscle, and rejuvenate cells, all while letting you enjoy real food. Get 15% off plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe at prolonlife.com/iHeart. That's prolonlife.com/iHeart.
You see it instantly. It's Coldwater Creek, the mark of exceptional workmanship and signature touches inspired by a Mountain West heritage. Distinctive styles created from quality fabrics, silhouettes perfected with just the right drape, feel-good fits offering ease of movement, and thoughtful details to elevate your look. Coldwater Creek's authenticity is embodied in every piece, embracing its confident spirit that carries through to today. Discover Coldwater Creek clothing, designed to fit your life the way you want. For a wardrobe you can count on season after season, visit coldwatercreek.com. Shop the new spring collection at 20% off $75 or more with code IHEART20.
Welcome to the A Building. I'm Hans Charles.
I'm Menelik Lumumba. It's 1969. Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. had both been assassinated, and Black America was at a breaking point. Rioting and protests broke out on an unprecedented scale.
In Atlanta, Georgia, at Martin's alma mater, Morehouse College, the students had their own protest. It featured 2 prominent figures in Black history, Martin Luther King Sr. and a young student, Samuel L. Jackson.
To be in what we really thought was a revolution. I mean, people were dying.
1968, the murder of Dr. King, which traumatized everyone.
The FBI had a role in the murder of a Black Panther leader in Chicago.
This story is about protest. It echoes in today's world far more than it should, and it will blow your mind.
Listen to the A Building on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is The Middle. I'm Jeremy Hobson. If you're just tuning in, The Middle is a national call-in show. We're focused on elevating voices from the middle, geographically, politically, or philosophically, or maybe you just want to meet in the middle. This hour, we're asking what the state of your economy is. Tolliver, what is the number to call in?
It's 8444-MIDDLE. That's 844-464-3353. You can also write to us at listentothemiddle.com or on social media, and I'll try to get your comments on air.
I'm joined by Tribune Content Agency columnist Mary Sanchez and University of Michigan economist Justin Wolfers. And the phone lines are lighting up. So let's get to Nathan, who is calling in from Tampa, Florida. Nathan, what is the state of your economy?
Hey, how you doing? As I said before, I'd recently gotten into an accident, had to buy a new car. I was smart of me. I decided not to buy a new car. I decided to buy a car that I could that I wouldn't have to make payments on, because when I got back on my feet, I do gig work. So when I got back on my feet, everything held to like a snail's pace. Like I've been missing a lot of our conversations because you guys are like my office mates. When I go out and I drive, I hear you guys talking. But on the bright side, I got to play a lot of Final Fantasy Tactics. Finally got around to playing some video games.
So you're a gig worker, but you got into a car accident. Are you someone who does do you drive like for Uber? Have you been able to do your work?
Right now I'm doing DoorDash, and my other gig job is a security guy at Raymond James. Go Bucks. Something else is that I think for a long time we've been relying on the stock tickers as a metrics of the health of our economy, and it's too much of a fallacy to really look at that and think about how the people of the economy are doing. I'm sure if there were stock tickers that back in the slavery days, you'd say everything's honky-dory, you know what I mean? But it's not necessarily, I think, a sign of good health. I mean, it can be. I'm not going to be one of those people that are black and white about it, but...
It's a good point, Nathan, and let me take that to our guest, Justin Wolfer's a very good point that for a gig worker, who cares how the stock market is doing? What do you make of the just the difference between the stock market and then somebody like Nathan who is working in the gig economy, and even just a car accident can really change things for him economically?
Right, and so the important point here is that when we approach what might be a slowdown in the economy, we don't all approach it from a similar point. Nathan, it sounds like you're doing it tough, mate. No, I'm glad you're doing okay. But, I'm sure that if there is a downturn and DoorDash starts to dry up a little, we have to realize, there's much bigger effects on some folks than others, and that's intensely painful. Let me come back to the stock market. I want to make 2 points on this. The first is very interesting. The president keeps boasting about the stock market, and I can't tell you the number of interviews I've done recently where people say, if you're pretty down on the economy, why does the stock market keep hitting new highs? You have to remember the US is not an island. We're part of a global economy. And so one thing I recently did is I calculated the total gain in stocks for every leading economy between Inauguration Day and the present. I did it for the 23 largest economies. The United States stock market's up about 15 or 20% over that period. Much of the rest of the world is up much, 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 much more. Out of those 23 countries, guess where we ranked? We were 23rd. Sorry, we were 20th out of 23 countries. We were ahead of, the United States was ahead of Australia, New Zealand, and Denmark. And the Danish stock market is almost entirely Novo Nordisk, which has the weight loss wonder drug, which has gone south recently. So, the stocks are up, but they're up a whole lot more elsewhere. And then you can go one step further, which was Nathan's point, which is the stock market is not the economy. The stock market is the expected performance of large companies. This is an administration that focuses on existing large companies. And of course, they're actually doing moderately well. They can call the White House whenever tariffs are getting in the way and get particular exceptions made for them. But for smaller businesses, they don't have that line to the White House. And so it's a style of governing that advantages those parts of the economy that are on the stock market and disadvantages the rest of the economy.
Right, and especially parts of the economy, not just on the stock market, but that are in artificial intelligence and are just so much of the stock market right now. Alex is calling in from Houston, Texas. Alex, go ahead with your thoughts about the state of the economy.
How are y'all doing, guys? My state of the economy, I would say it's pretty good. I mean, not too much to complain about. I mean, I just think that most of these companies, big companies, I think they keep the price artificially high just because they want profits. I mean, who are we going to get here, right? You're not going to say, we're going to keep the prices of eggs, we're not going to bring them down. No, you want to keep them high because you're going to make more profit. So, personally, I don't see it as a problem. I just think you just have to manage your budget well and save. And if you could invest. I mean, I want to look at the stock market as an indicator of how good we're doing. And it's just people taking advantage of the market because it's good right now to put your money in there. But, I personally believe that the market's a balloon. I wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket. That's just my opinion. And I would diversify.
Can I ask you one question, Alex? Let me just ask you one follow-up question, just because the polls are showing that people on different sides politically see the economy differently. Can I ask you, who did you vote for in the last presidential election?
Well, I'm not ashamed to say I voted for Trump. I mean, if you're gonna base your opinion on what people say all the time, that's kind of a low indicator. I mean, Obama said a lot of things. He came from a very depressed economy when he took over when Bush left. And, I'd say give him a chance, give Trump a chance. Gosh, the guy's been there a couple months. We're still facing inflation, if you want to call it like that. I mean, we want to play politics. We could play politics all day. But I think most of these companies don't want to lower the price. They're just making good profits right now. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was different, if there was a depression like they say there is, these companies wouldn't be making money. People wouldn't be buying anything right now. But you go to a mall, you go to a grocery store, they're packed. And
some of them are, Alex. But we've got your point there. But thank you for the call. I appreciate it, Mary Sanchez. What do you think of that? I don't want to say that he's only saying what he's saying because he voted for Trump. I just think that's an interesting point there.
I think, I mean, I thought it was interesting. He says, I'm not ashamed of it. And that right there tells you that some of the messaging is that you should be ashamed of it, or perhaps you should be ashamed because you're doing okay. The only thing that I really flag on sometimes, and he did, and your caller, Nathan, did not do that, but is when you start deciding who is worthy and who isn't, or who is costing. One of the things, talking about CEOs and companies, it's like, who's in charge? Who is the problem of my pain if I can't afford something? And that's where messaging, I think, is absorbed so differently depending on your political view, which can be tied to your finances. If all of your money is tied up in stocks and the stock market is doing well, then you're going to be okay with whoever you think is in charge of that. If that's not your reality, you may look elsewhere for someone to blame about why you're not doing well.
Can I just add something here? Because, Alex, you said something so interesting, which is we all worry about high prices, and you're blaming companies, corporate greed. And I hear you. There's a lovely expression that I think has a lot of truth to it. Blaming corporations for high prices is like blaming gravity for a plane crash. At some level, it's literally true. If there were no gravity, the plane wouldn't have crashed. If corporate greed didn't exist, the prices wouldn't be high. But we tend to take gravity as an eternal constant, and we tend to take companies being greedy as an eternal constant. So then that raises the deeper question, given that we always have greedy companies, why or how is it that right now they're able to take a bigger chunk out of your paycheck than maybe at some point in the past?
And you think that they are taking a bigger chunk out of our paycheck than at points in the past? It's not just like the price of everything is going up and they're charging a little bit more, and you think they're taking more right now, Justin?
I was trying to meet Alex where he's at. We can have long and deep conversations about how much prices right now are due to costs going up versus profit margins. But, for those who think it's greed, I agree it's greed at a literal level, but there's something even deeper that allows greed to express itself more virulently at different points in time.
Yeah. Tolliver, I'm going to get to you in 1 second, but we have a trucker on the line from Youngstown, Ohio. So let's get to him before we lose him somehow. Travis is calling in. Travis, tell us about the state of your economy.
So currently the biggest thing I'm noticing is the dollar just doesn't stretch as much, and you spend more, get less, and that goes for across from my hometown, Youngstown, to across the country. We've been having to rely more on even brokered loads because our core customers can't even provide as much anymore because it just seems like there's not as much of a demand due to price.
I was actually in a car when I was in Texas a few weeks ago, Travis, with somebody who's in the trucking industry, and he said a lot of these trucks right now are empty. But they still have to run because if you don't run them, then you don't have a business when it comes back.
Yep, and that seems to be a lot of the thing. You just have to try to fill in as much as you can. It's just basically, fortunately, the industry the way it is.
Well, thank you for calling in. By the way, where are you? Are you in your truck right now? Where are you calling from?
I'm in my truck heading into Chicago right now.
All right, Travis, thank you very much for the call. Justin, that's an interesting part of our economy too. Somebody who travels the entire country and gets to see how things are in different places, and they could be very different from place to place around the United States.
Yeah, like what a life Travis has. And mate, thanks for getting my veggies to me and all the goods that I need. Travis has this other long-term thing. He probably doesn't need me to tell him, but his way of life is under threat. Driverless trucking is not very far away. And so even as he's trying to make his paycheck stretch a little further, my guess is he's worried about what's going to happen 5 or 10 years down the line.
Mm-hmm. Well, and Tolliver, there's an AI DJ on Spotify, so that's a perfect segue to get back to you.
You can pay me less than him. It's fine.
Well, what's coming in online? That's something the AI DJ can't tell us right now.
Sandra says, the state of my financial picture is shaky at best. My internet provider is increasing by $120 a year, and my insurance provider has reduced how far my Medicare dollars will go in 2026. Bottom line, I'm afraid of the future, and only my trust in God gives me hope. And then Johanna's in Florida said, Dems have been willing to abandon the New Deal and move right to meet the GOP halfway for decades, forcing the GOP to move further right. Now that Mamdani has put affordability on the map and GOP are claiming it as well, will Dems move further right with a $20 federal minimum wage, an elimination of the tipped minimum wage, or Medicare for all, or a Green New Deal? Spoiler alert, no, Dems are weak. Spicy.
Mary, interesting point there just about affordability, because we just had another election this week in the state of Tennessee where affordability was the key issue, just like it was in New York City, just like it was in Virginia, just like it was in New Jersey. Voters care about it. Do you see it impacting the politics? I mean, President Trump has said all along that this is all about the Fed not lowering interest rates fast enough. But do you think that these elections are going to affect the way that the economy is handled going forward next year?
I think it's going to take longer than that, because if you really look at everything that impacts the economy, as Justin would be able to explain far better than I, it's so many factors. It's not like if you just put one person in the White House, the economy is going to completely turn over, and that we're going to suddenly have manufacturing, particularly if the cost of metals to build all those factory plants has been messed up through tariffs. It's so convoluted. I think it may impact how people vote. It may not impact the outcome that they believe. What I hear a lot in that caller, though, is just the idea of, Democrats and Republicans not working together. People know that their government is not working well. They might not be able to fully go into, well, here was how this tax subsidy, here is how this was done over a period of 30 years that influenced a certain type of development and not others. They may not be able to unravel all of that to figure out some of these deeper things, but they know it when they hurt. They know it when they feel insecure.
Let's go to Alexandra, who's calling in from Denver, Colorado. Alexandra, go ahead with your thoughts about the state of the economy.
Yes, so thank you so much for taking my call. I'm so thrilled to be on your show. And, very quickly, I am very concerned about the middle and lower class and the idea that people of wealth just keep getting wealthier, and the system very much seems designed to help the people who already have wealth get more wealth. But my question for you has to do with the inflation, because the prices don't come down. It seems like we talk about the rate of inflation coming down, but the actual prices never come down. So once the house costs $800,000, it's not going down back down to $500,000. And do you see that changing? And how does that, is there something, because frankly, the Republicans seem to support the get wealthier, and the Dems seem to support something around affordability, but how do we actually have deflation in a way that's productive for all of us who are trying to survive?
Now, Alexandra, we don't want deflation, Justin Wolfers. We don't want the prices start going down, but we do want people to make enough money that they can afford the higher prices. Are we ever going to get to a point where that is the case?
Right. So it's time that we have a mature, serious, and responsible discussion about this. And the problem is that the president lied to the American people, and he's pushed us down an absolutely absurd road. Here's a reality of healthy modern economies. They all have some degree of inflation, on average. What you want is inflation to be low enough that you can barely notice it and you don't have to keep worrying about it every day. The Fed thinks that means inflation of around about 2%. So usually, if we had a good, serious economic debate in this country, we would be talking about how do we lower inflation? Or what is the right rate of inflation? What should we do about inflation? Things like that. The problem is the president promised to bring prices down. The only tool he has to do that would be by crushing the economy. It's a profoundly bad idea. Worse than that, if prices are falling, what are you and I going to do? Am I going to go and buy that new TV this week knowing it's going to be even cheaper next week? It creates a lot of problems. So let's be serious. The way we make up for inflation is people get wage rises. Don't wait around and don't cheer for prices to come down. It would be deeply irresponsible.
Well, and as we said, Tolliver, President Trump has called affordability a con job by the Democrats, but Marjorie Taylor Greene, who until recently had been a strong supporter of the president, disagrees.
Yeah, she says the Republicans ignore the cost of living issues at their own peril. Here she is on CNN.
Inflation crushed people in the past 4.5 years, and the costs have not come down. I myself can tell you my apartment here in Washington, D.C., the electricity bill is $100 more than it was last year, because you can look at your own bill and look at cost. Prices have not come down. That is a reality. People's wages have not gone up. That's another reality. And so Americans are continuing to have a very difficult time getting by.
And as you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene says she is resigning from Congress in January. They always get really honest right before they resign.
Really leave. Yeah.
That's what happens. We'll be right back with your calls on the middle.
It's an Olympics you'll never forget. Prime time in Milan. The moments.
Chloe Kim with the gold medal flex.
The stars.
Ilya Malinin.
Out of this world.
The spectacle from beautiful northern Italy with very special guests every night of the Olympics. Experience the world's biggest show. Prime time in Milan, tonight 8/7 Central on NBC and Peacock.
Why have I asked my HVAC guy I found on Angie.com to change my grandpa's trachea tube? Because I was so amazed by how quickly he replaced our air ducts. I knew I could trust him to change Pop-Pop's tube while I was on vacation.
Make it quick, young man.
Aw, see? Pop-Pop trusts you.
I think we should call a doctor.
Connecting homeowners with skilled pros for over 30 years. Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find pros for all your home projects at Angie.com.
You see it instantly. It's Cold Water Creek, the mark of exceptional workmanship and signature touches inspired by a Mountain West heritage. Distinctive styles created from quality fabrics, silhouettes perfected with just the right drape, feel-good fits offering ease of movement, and thoughtful details to elevate your look. Coldwater Creek's authenticity is embodied in every piece, embracing its confident spirit that carries through to today. Discover Coldwater Creek clothing, designed to fit your life the way you want. For a wardrobe you can count on season after season, visit coldwatercreek.com. Shop the new spring collection at 20% off $75 or more with code IHEART20.
Welcome to the A Building. I'm Hans Charles.
I'm Menelik Lumumba. It's 1969. Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. had both been assassinated, and Black America was at a breaking point. Rioting and protests broke out on an unprecedented scale.
In Atlanta, Georgia, at Martin's alma mater, Morehouse College, the students had their own protest. It featured two prominent figures in Black history, Martin Luther King Sr. and a young student, Samuel L. Jackson.
To be in what we really thought was a revolution. I mean, people were dying.
1968, the murder of Dr. King, which traumatized everyone.
The FBI had a role in the murder of a Black Panther leader in Chicago.
This story is about protest. It echoes in today's world far more than it should, and it will blow your mind.
Listen to the A Building on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is Ryder Strong, and I have a new podcast called The Red Weather.
It was many and many a year ago in a kingdom by the sea.
In 1995, my neighbor, Anna Trainer, disappeared from a commune.
It was hard to wrap your head around. It was nature and trees and praying and drugs.
So no, I am not your guru.
And back then, I lied to my parents, I lied to police, I lied to everybody.
There were years, right, where I could not say your name.
I've decided to go back to my hometown in Northern California, interview my friends, family, talk to police, journalists, whomever I can, to try to find out what actually happened.
Isn't it a little bit weird that they obsess over hippies in the woods and not the obvious boyfriend?
They have had this case for 30 years.
I'll teach you sons of to come round here and my wife.
Boom, boom. This is The Red Weather. Listen to The Red Weather on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is The Middle. I'm Jeremy Hobson. This hour, we're taking your calls on the state of your economy with columnist Mary Sanchez and economist Justin Wolfers. You can call in at 844-4MIDDLE. That's 844-464-3353. Or you can reach out at listentothemiddle.com. And let's get right back to the phones because the lines are full. Monica is calling from Philadelphia. Monica, go ahead. What's the state of your economy?
Hi, thank you. So, at least in Philadelphia, and I know it's pretty much nationwide, the cost of food for the average family, and I'm a single mom with 2 boys, has gone up so much in the last 3 months that my budget for each month has gone from food being maybe like a quarter to a third. Now it's up to half, if not more.
Wow.
Of that is how profound that impact has been and how huge the food inflation has been on the average everyday American like me.
And what are you doing about that, or what do you want to be done about that, Monica?
Right. So things that I do, right, of course, I'll try to shop where I can get economies of scale, right, buy by bulk, right, look for sales, right, all that stuff. But in the much larger picture is this is not sustainable for America to continue to survive. So the legislators at the state, ideally at the federal level, but we're not going to be seeing that happen, but at least at the state level, need to put something in place for like the staples, things like, milk, eggs. Remember that went up to like $6-7 for a dozen, right? Things like that. Some type of legislation that's designed, to counteract what's going on.
Right. Monica, thank you very much
my
for
other
that.
point was that. Oh,
yeah,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Sorry, my other point was that the average American should not have to rely on how the stock market is doing for our retirement.
Right.
But because most companies no longer offer pensions, right, then we are forced to have to play that game. And
right. Everybody's got their 401ks now as their pension. Thank you very much for that, Monica. And Mary Sanchez, a lot there, but I just couldn't help but think as Monica was talking about that it was about a month ago that food stamp SNAP benefits were cut off for people because of the government shutdown. That's exactly what Monica was basically saying, is there should be something to help people get the staples. That's what that is for.
That is what that was for. But that gets into those whole arguments about who is working hard enough, who is worthy of being helped, who actually needs and deserves help. And that's where we do get into these political decisions and policy making. One of the things, this is kind of probably maybe in Justin's area, you could probably say it better, but I think, the idea that the cost of food is going up so much, I do think there is some data that shows that it's up higher this year at a higher percentage than it was before, but it's always going to be rising. Costs rise. I don't expect to pay what my mother paid for some things. I just don't. Right. But my wages have not gone up enough, for sure, because I'm in journalism, to be able to counteract some of that.
Well, and Justin, it's interesting we're hearing about food this hour and not gas prices, which actually are, I mean, of course, we remember when they were cheaper than what they are now, but they're relatively less expensive than they have been in recent years. It's around $2.99, I think, on average nationally for a gallon of gas. But people are noticing the food prices more right now.
Yeah, so gas is about $3 a gallon, which is about the average over the past 6 years. So nothing to celebrate, nothing to commiserate, just it is what it is. Look, I can never speak to a single mum like Monica without saying thank you. I'm the son of a single mum myself, and you're doing amazing stuff there, mate. Food prices have gone up. Probably, it feels, Monica, like you might be on the really sharp end of it. I don't think they've gone up that much across the country. Your experience may well be different, and it probably depends how much you eat beef, which is particularly expensive at the moment. Fortunately, my family's vegetarian, so we've avoided all of that. But as you look forward, I do worry about what's going to happen to working and middle-class Americans. Tariffs take a bigger bite out of the budget of working class than rich Americans because working class folks spend more. The big, beautiful bill from President Trump is the largest redistribution from poor to rich in a single bill in American history. And next year we're looking at potentially millions of people being cut off Medicaid, as well as everything that's going on with health insurance costs. So this is one of those cases where it is really important to do what you're doing, Jeremy, talking to people around the country, because the averages, which is what GDP tells us about, are pretty healthy. But those averages are telling us are hiding the reality that a lot of working middle-class folks are going to be doing without, as there has been a big redistribution to the rich.
Well, and we haven't gotten the government data that we usually get because of the government shutdown. A lot of it has been delayed. Let's get to another caller. Sarah is calling in from Birmingham, Alabama. Hi, Sarah. Go ahead with your thoughts on the economy.
Hi. So I'm a graduate student, and we have a fixed income, at least for 5 years. And on top of that, we aren't allowed to have another job. We're paid once a month. So it's just been kind of hard trying to budget, as is, being on the brink of society as a graduate student. So my question is, do you all have any advice of where to cut back the most and, how to predict these unpredictable costs? Thank you.
Interesting question. Sarah. Mary, I guess, do you have any advice for Sarah? Where can she cut back?
Wow. See, it's so personal, and what people spend money on is so personal. She didn't mention food. It's interesting to me that we're speaking of food so much, because to me that tells more of the dire state. That's basic. That's like Maslow. If you can't afford to have the roof over your head or to feed your children, I don't know. And I didn't hear enough from the graduate student to know, how you would, and frankly, for anyone, even an outsider, to make some judgments about what money they have and where they're putting it. Is their car too nice by somebody's standards?
Yeah.
I only recently ended up with a car payment, and I absolutely hate it because I went more than 20 years without one. And I view that as like this horribly negative thing that I've done, even though I like my car. And I bought it used. So again, I think that almost, and this is how this plays out in society, is how you start judging people of who isn't managing their money well. Who is to blame for the fact that she needs to figure this out, but it sounds like she's trapped in a certain dynamic of where she can't take another job and probably still get the graduate degree.
Well, and we just did a show a couple of weeks ago about whether people are worried that artificial intelligence is going to take their job. And as we heard one person after another call in and say they were worried or it already has taken their job, I'm thinking to myself, this is nobody's fault. Not a single one of these people, who went through their whole, education and preparation and career preparing for something. It's not their fault that artificial intelligence has come along and made it cheaper for a company to do it that way. But anyway, a lot there. Let's get to Frank, who's in Plano, Texas, and has been on the line. Frank, what about you? What's the state of your economy?
Well, first of all, for the record, the last 3 elections, I didn't vote for either Democrat or Republican. I voted for another party, third party. But my personal economy is I have a legacy. We are living on the legacy of 4 generations of people who have left us enough. Now, what am I doing in terms of my spending? Cutting back on my travel expenses, even though we have children who live out of the country, and also cutting down on potential spending on other things that we want to do with our life. But the point is legacy. There are so many people who don't have the I'm privileged. I'm going to say that. Right. I'm privileged. I have a legacy. And there's so many people. Let's take Tulsa, Oklahoma, for example. What would be the legacy of those descendants of those people if they had their continued work? So, again, we're not going to solve the problem on this show. You know that. But I do believe that there's so much that has to be done to correct the legacy issues of people in dire situations today.
Yeah, a lot of people inherited money, and a lot of people did not inherit any money. Justin, your thoughts?
I just want to add one of the most important things that the next generation may inherit is a well-functioning economy. If we hand off the richest, most productive economy in the world, that's given them plenty to make their start, even if they don't come up with an inheritance. And so then the question is, are we doing what we need to do to hand off a well-functioning economy to the next generation? That then leads to these sort of deeper questions. What is it that drives American prosperity? And are we preserving those institutions that drive American prosperity? And so at the moment, it's ironic that we have a conservative government, conservative in name, but actually radical in approach. And so maybe they're right, and maybe they're fixing everything, or maybe they're wrong, and maybe they're destroying everything. But either way, the next generation are the ones who are going to discover what it was they were left.
Yeah, an interesting point that it's not about necessarily being left something physical, but being left an economy that allows them to have opportunity. Chico is calling in from Asheville, North Carolina. Hi, Chico. Go ahead with your thoughts about the state of the economy.
Well, yeah. I mean, as far as the initial question, the state of my economy, I work. I used to be a school teacher years ago. I can't imagine being able to do that today. I have so much respect for them. I have what I consider a very good job. It's a solid job. I work for a manufacturing company in town, right? So I actually work in a manufacturing facility in the state, and it's good, right? My economy is good. I have 2 adult children that I have I'm really worried about them, right? Like, what kind of economy are they going to have? What are they going to be able to do in the near future here? So that's probably my biggest concern.
And so, Chico, let me just ask you, you're not bothered by, for example, some of the things we've heard about this hour, food that's more expensive. You're able to weather that with your salary.
Yeah, I definitely feel I'm lucky enough that while I'm conscious of those things, those expenses going up, it's not anything that has impacted me yet severely, right? Do I save as much as I would like to? Probably not, but I think I could probably cut more here and there to do that. So I feel like it's pretty good. There's concern, though, working for a manufacturing company like this, though, and with the tariffs and with things like that, it's very difficult to plan for profit and planning and things like that for the future when it just seems so chaotic at this point, right? So that is probably a big challenge, particularly when I look at my own my job.
Yeah. Chico, thank you very much for that. Let me get to another caller here. Roger is in Grantsburg, Wisconsin. Roger, what about the state of your economy?
Well, my economy's kind of tight. Everything around here has gone up, and we're fixing here to be like probably the coldest winter here in a long, long time. We've been pretty lucky, and it's starting off here. Tomorrow's my birthday. It's December 5th, and wow, we're already freezing, I dealt with frozen water for 2 days. Oh, boy. Yay.
So and you're worried. Well, and you're worried about the cold because it's going to be more expensive for you to heat your home.
Oh yes. I just filled my tank, my propane tank, and it was reasonable. It was $1.49.9 a gallon, so $534 to fill it up, and that's good for maybe a month. If it's really, really cold, it'll be about a month and a half. 60 days usually for a tank is what I figured out. And so there's another $500. That'd be a $1,500 winter for heating, and it's the only heat I have. I don't have any alternative with what I can do. I've thought about it. I live in a mobile home, and that's what we got. Other than plastic and hay bales, it looks like kind of hillbilly, but it works, But
you sound like you've got a good attitude about it, Roger. Yeah. You sound like you're gonna figure it out.
Well, it's kind of one of these things where you just gotta you gotta endeavor to persevere. That's about it.
Yeah.
I stole that line from. Stole that line from Joe Outlaw, Josie Wales.
Well, I so appreciate your call, Roger. Thank you so much for that.
We got to do
Mary
another hour
Sanchez,
with him, please.
We do. I think, he definitely should be a regular. But Mary, you hear that he's living in a mobile home. He's worried about the cost of heating, but he's got that attitude too. That's interesting.
That's very American, and it's very human. I mean, humans are inherently resilient. It is amazing what we can overcome. I think when you talk about government and structures and systems of society, how can those things help what is just inherently human? We're resilient. We want to provide for our families. We want to do better. We want to move forward. I think most people are good and kind. Most people will help other people when they see need, but they're more likely to do it when they have something to give. If it's okay for them to skim a little off of their own budget to help out someone else. So to me, that's, how do we build that society? A couple of people have mentioned the middle class. I don't know what the exact numbers are right now, but as long as you don't have a strong middle class, you don't have a working population. You want that strong middle class that really moves things along, entrepreneurs, small business.
Well, we've actually run out of time this hour, but I want to bring the last question here to Justin, because it gets to some of the things that have come up in the course of this hour, and that is uncertainty about the future. And so many people not knowing what the future holds and therefore what they should do. So as the economist here, Justin, what would be your advice to people right now? Is it a moment to hang tight on a big financial decision like buying a new car or buying a new house or moving or taking a new job? Or should you just go for it and hope for the best?
The problem with the macroeconomy, which is what we're talking about, is that it's 340 million stories, each of which are different, and so I can't tell everyone everything. So what I wanted to do, Jeremy, was totally ignore your question. And come back and say, we've done a little bit too much public radio doomerism. We've talked about how everything's hard. So let me just put this in context, because you hear lots of different things about the economy, and just thinking about how to sort these facts out, I think, is really important. So I want to throw a couple of facts out there. First one is 2025 will be the richest year in all of humanity. Second, the United States is the richest large economy in the world. Therefore, third, we are all right now in the richest country in the history of the world.
Right.
So it's not all doom. Now, that's one set of facts, and they're all true. We still have a vibrant economic debate, and I've said a bunch of times tonight, I think there's things we're doing wrong. And that's because the point of our debate is not about how great we are or aren't doing. It's about whether we're falling short of our potential. So if we're falling short at all, there's a lot to talk about, because even if we're doing great, if we could do extraordinary, that's worth it. And so, yes, we're optimistic. Yes, things are going pretty well, but yes, we could do even better.
That is Justin Wolfers, an economist at the University of Michigan. We've also been speaking with Mary Sanchez, a columnist with the Tribune Content Agency. Thanks so much to both of you for joining us.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
And next week, Tolliver, we're going to be asking if going green matters to you. Things like buying an electric vehicle, cutting down on emissions, putting solar panels on your house. We'll be asking about that. You can go to listentothemiddle.com to join us or call 844-464-3353. That's it for us. I'm Jeremy Hobson. I will talk to you next week.
Owning a home is full of surprises. Some wonderful, some not so much. And when something breaks, it can feel like the whole day unravels. That's why HomeServe exists. For as little as $4.99 a month, you'll always have someone to call. A trusted professional ready to help, bringing peace of mind to 4.5 million homeowners nationwide. For plans starting at just $4.99 a month, go to homeserve.com. That's homeserve.com. Not available everywhere. Most plans range between $4.99 to $11.99 a month your first year. Terms apply on covered repairs.
You see it instantly. It's Coldwater Creek, the mark of exceptional workmanship and signature touches inspired by a Mountain West heritage. Distinctive styles created from quality fabrics, silhouettes perfected with just the right drape, feel-good fits offering ease of movement, and thoughtful details to elevate your look. Coldwater Creek's authenticity is embodied in every piece, embracing its confident spirit that carries through to today. Discover Coldwater Creek clothing, designed to fit your life the way you want. For a wardrobe you can count on season after season, visit coldwatercreek.com. Shop the new spring collection at 20% off $75 or more with code IHEART20.
Over the last couple years, didn't we learn that the folding chair was invented by Black people because of what happened in Alabama?
The Montgomery Brawl.
This Black History Month, the podcast Selective Ignorance with Mandy B unpacks Black history and culture with comedy, clarity, and conversations that shake the status quo. The Crown Act in New York was signed in July of 2019, and that is a bill that was passed to prohibit discrimination based on hairstyles associated with race. To hear this and more, listen to Selective Ignorance with Mandy B from the Black Effect Podcast Network on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
1969. Malcolm and Martin are gone. America is in crisis. And at Morehouse College, the students make their move.
These students, including a young Samuel L. Jackson, locked up the members of the Board of Trustees, including Martin Luther King Sr. It's the true story of protest and rebellion in Black American history that you'll never forget. I'm Hans Charles.
I'm Menelik Lumumba.
Listen to The A Building on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is Ryder Strong, and I have a new podcast called The Red Weather. In 1995, my neighbor, Anna Trainer, disappeared from a commune.
It was nature and trees and praying and drugs.
So no, I am not your guru.
And back then, I lied to everybody.
They have had this case for 30 years.
I'm going back to my hometown to uncover the truth. Listen to The Red Weather on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.